Hey, welcome to another class of Tuesday Night Beer School, starring me, Chad of Chad's Beer Reviews, and Brett from Urban Artifact is back again. What's going on, man?
Hey, it's good to see you yet again.
Yep. This is part 3 of our Guinness trilogy. Although, if somebody missed the first 2 parts, can you quickly introduce yourself,
Sure.
like what you do and all that?
Yeah, my name is 𝗲𝗄𝗏𝗿𝗍𝒂𝗍, and I'm a co-founder and head brewer at Urban Artifact in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's all
we do only
sour
fruit
brewery.
beer, only sour beer, only sour beer, only fruit beer. We don't really do anything that's not that anymore. Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to have you back when we do some actual sours, or maybe like some European type sours, like the all natural goose and lambic and stuff like that. But
Yeah, heck yeah. Yeah, I would love
yeah,
to.
like I was saying at the beginning, this is part 3 of our Guinness trilogy. So we are doing Foreign Extra Stout, which is style 16D for those playing the home game or following along at home. Yep. All right, so Foreign Extra Stout. Overall impression: a very dark, rich, moderately strong, fairly dry stout with prominent roast flavors. Let's get to the comments and all that stuff. Also known as foreign stout, export stout, and foreign export stout. Historic versions before World War I had the same OG as domestic extra stouts, but depending on the brewery, could have a higher ABV because it had a long secondary with Brett chewing away. Not this Brett. 𝗲𝗄𝗏𝗍𝒂𝗍𝒂𝗏 these. The difference between domestic and foreign versions were the hopping and length of maturation. History: stronger stouts brewed for the export market today, but with a history stretching back to the 18th and 19th centuries, when there are more heavily hopped versions of stronger export stouts. Vatted originally, but Guinness stopped this practice in the 1950s. I'm not sure what they mean by that. Vatted, like when I think vat, do they mean like fooder?
Yeah, I think they mean fooders. Guinness got rid of all their wood fermenters in the 50s.
Okay. Guinness Foreign Extra Stout, originally West India Porter, later Foreign Extra Double Stout, was first brewed in 1801 according to Guinness with extra hops to give it a distinctive taste and longer shelf life in hot weather. Characteristic ingredients: pale and dark roasted malts and grains. Historically, also could have used brown and amber malts. Hops used mostly for bitterness, typically English varieties. May use adjuncts and sugar to boost gravity. Style comparison: similar in balance to an Irish Extra Stout, but with more alcohol. Not as big or intense as an Imperial Stout, lacking the strong bitterness and high late hops of American Stout. Similar gravity as Tropical Stout, but with a drier finish and higher bitterness. So let's look at our vitals. IBU is 50 to 70. That's pretty high. That's like, that's IPA, double IPA territory.
Yeah.
30 to 40 SRM, dark beer. Gravity and ABV 6.3 is just the low end. 8.0 is the high end. So yeah, we're doing Guinness Foreign Extra Stout. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've had a lot of these are. I know Cooper's is Australian. Ridgeway is British. The Colonel is British. I haven't heard of the Pelican or 𝗲𝗄𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 pour our beers, and we'll come right back with aroma. All right, so we are back. We got our Guinnesses poured. I decided to go with the tulip glass for this one. Oh, you got almost the same, very similar glass.
Yeah.
Yours is a little more elongated than mine, but yeah.
This is an old Boulevard glass. Yeah.
Oh, is it? All right, let's give it a whiff here. Well, the first thing I noticed is that it has this. It must be a yeast ester because it has a very similar smell to the last two Guinnesses, like this fruity, almost thing.
Yeah, it's like like this Guinness tang I get on all three of these.
Mm-hmm. I'd probably say like maybe black licorice. I don't think I would go as far as say roast or chocolate or coffee. Plus, I have a huge foamy froth here, which might be obscuring it.
Yeah, I don't get nearly the same amount of acrid characteristic that we got these past couple weeks on the lower ABV Guinnesses. This is way more in that dark licorice, like you said. I'm getting like the dried fruit characteristics coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm even picking up like mild floral, earthy, like almost like like that Northern Brewer hop character where it's almost like chocolatey, minty type hop character. I feel like I'm picking up some of that hop character on this.
Like Chinook?
Yeah. Chinook or I get it a lot in Northern Brewer personally, but yeah.
I now that I'm paying attention, I am getting, there is like a roasty character here for sure. Bit of a coffee house, like when you walk into a Starbucks or something like that.
Yes.
And there is like the essence of chocolate. It seems more like a Belgian dark chocolate, something like that, not chocolate candy.
No, something super high cocoa content.
Yeah, it does have the same fruity. They must use. I wonder if they use the same yeast for all their beers.
They gotta, I would think.
So let's someone get this ready. Let's see. Let's check the specs. That should be my motto. I'm gonna get shirts made. Chad's beer reviews. Let's check the specs. Aroma: moderate to high roast, light coffee, dark chocolate, or lightly burnt grain, which is what we just said. Low to medium fruitiness. Yeah, I would agree with that. May have a sweet aroma, or molasses, licorice, dried fruit, or vinous aromatics. Licorice, yes. I don't think I'd say molasses. Maybe dried fruit. Vinous, no. Stronger versions can have a subtle, clean aroma of alcohol. Low earthy, herbal, or floral hop aroma optional. Low diacetyl optional. So they actually say you can have that diacetyl here.
I'm not picking any diacetyl up on this. Are you?
Maybe a little. I think it's like that sweetness that I'm picking up on. It is like some people perceive it as like movie theater popcorn. To me, it's always like it's almost more like a dairy kind of aroma. But yeah, I think there is like a little almost like Ringwood, like that classic British pub yeast character.
Yeah, that comes across as like Werther's mildly butterscotchy to me usually.
Yeah, I think it works. I'm not diacetyl's fine if it's in the right style and not like overbearing. But yeah, I think it hits all the notes here. Let me bring up the score sheet. I'm thinking it's starting pretty high. I think this is at least a double digits. I think this is at least a 10.
Yeah, there's nothing on the aroma style guidelines that it's not hitting.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not picking up any of the alcohol that it says it can have, but the aroma is very clean and straightforward. And yeah, it's complex too, which is really great.
Yeah, this is only 7.5, which is actually kind of tame by today's standards, especially compared to like American Imperial Stout. But I mean, 7.5, that's, it's fairly strong. As far as appearance, similar to the other two Guinnesses, I'd probably call this really dark brown. Again, big, light brown, foamy, frothy head. Let me get my flashlight here. Wow,
I'm not getting.
This is even darker than the other two. Like
this is like legitimately opaque. There is nothing really coming through on this one.
No.
And
this should be a thick beer.
The head is about as brown as I've seen a head of beer before.
It's darker than the extra stout, which is usually indicative, like pretty roasted grains and stuff.
Yep.
All right, so let's check the specs on appearance. Very deep brown to black in color. Clarity usually obscured by deep color. Clear if not opaque. Large tan to brown head with good retention. Yep.
Yeah, the retention on this is outstanding. It's it's pillowy even.
Yeah. We haven't even started drinking it yet. Any reason not to give that a 3?
No, that's an easy 3 out of 3.
Yeah. All right, flavor. Leo wants some beer. I don't know if you guys can hear him. You want beer? No. All right. Let's dive in here. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, wow.
Well, like I said with the aroma, the first thing I notice is it's got to be that Guinness yeast character. There's like a fruitiness to it. Coffee, like half and half kind of creamer. Not, I would not call it vanilla. And then in the aftertaste is this kind of licorice butterscotch kind of thing, and also like black coffee.
I get a ton of black coffee, like it's like Monday morning brewer coffee where you make it like double strength. It's like it is bitter black coffee, and the bitterness from the hops and the astringency, it's all over that palate. I'm getting a little bit of that baking cocoa flavor starting at the back going forward. It really comes fruity for me at the beginning of the palate, but it's like dark fruit, cooked fruit. And you said you're not getting vanilla, but I'm picking up like I'm getting like fruit cake level kind of like bready sweet flavors off of it, but it's not sweet cloying. It's just there's a good carameliness to it that
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting.
I would agree with that. It's kind of like we said with the last two Guinness, is that like it has like the fruity or like a sweet flavor, but without like the sugary, you know, because it seems to be pretty well attenuated. Yeah, but actually, it does seem like a little overly astringent in the aftertaste.
Mm.
Do you get that? It's almost like the grain is like over milled or something, or I mean, it's not quite to the tea bag level. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it seems like
Well,
it's
you
a
should.
clashing.
You're the brewer.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like husky graininess. It's more like it's like they use too much roast malt, and it's also too bitter. It is hop bitterness and grain bitterness, and they kind of clash in a really intense way.
Yeah, I'm trying to pick up hop flavor. I mean, aside from maybe you call it like spicy, almost like noble hop something. But yeah, like with the roasted malt, so you have like this kind of coffee or burnt popcorn thing, plus you have like a spicy hop. And they said what was said the IBUs were what, like 50 or something? 50
50
to
to 70.
70. Yeah, so I
You
mean,
can taste it.
yeah, that's pretty bitter.
I can taste the alcohol on this too. It's not even just mouthfeel, but like going from the malty and sweeter, fruity flavors I get right on the initial taste. The alcohol cleans that palate up before it's just bombarded with those bitter flavors.
Yeah, I think the alcohol is adding a dryness here. It's almost like, you know, like I was gonna say rubbing alcohol, but like that sounds like a slam, you know. I don't mean that as a bad way. Like it's just like a dry rubbing alcohol. I will say it's pretty light. I mean, it's 7.5. It's not like Goose Island, Bourbon County, you know.
No,
Um,
I'm just surprised that we're picking it up at all, which I wasn't expecting. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not like drinking watered down bourbon.
yeah, I find that. Yeah, when you're judging beer, especially to spec, like because you're looking for every little thing, is that you pay more attention to it than if we were at the bar and we're watching the game with wings, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you wouldn't even notice something like that in that situation.
yeah. Although
Which
I
is
try to, if I'm at the bar with wings watching football, I still try to pay attention to the beer.
as you should.
Yeah.
That's how you
Although
get
you can
better.
get caught up in conversation, you know, especially if you're on a first date with a girl or something. Like, yeah, that's interesting, and I'm like,
Well,
you
and
know,
you don't have to do it the whole glass either. Just those first couple sips, kind of think about consciously what you're smelling, what you're tasting, and
yeah.
you really can get a lot of experience out of that.
I will say I do get a tiny little bit of diacetyl here, and it seems to work with the palate. So it's like this. Yeah, it's more of like a butterscotch, like Werther's original candy that you were saying, or like Cracker Jack. It's not movie theater popcorn. And it seems to work with the natural malty flavor here. There is like definitely a caramelized maltiness here. There's a lot going on here because you have like, you know, like burnt flavors, you got fruity yeast esters, you get diacetyl, you got high bitterness, you got some alcohol. And it doesn't strike me, even though it has all those flavors, it's still a lot different than I'm trying to think of like a straight up American imperial stout that's not flavored, you know, like
Speedway Stout.
𝗔𝗽𝗃𝗄𝐿 maybe. I love that beer, but they actually they only do it on tap now.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, it's a different. I mean, I think what it all comes down to is the yeast. There's a definite European yeast character to this. It's a lot different than your 𝗔𝗃𝗄𝗃𝗃s or your pastry stouts. You know,
It's a beer of intensity, and it really hits a couple different peaks. Which is really fun to experience, and their peaks, like you said, not driven by flavors and adjuncts. They're peaks driven by yeast and ingredients in the brewer's skill.
Yeah, this is pretty tasty. Let's see how it holds up to the guidelines. Flavor: moderate to high roast, like coffee, dark chocolate, or lightly burnt grain, although without a sharp bite. So they say without a sharp bite. I mean, I don't know if I go as far as say bite, but there's definitely some, you know, acrid. It's teetering on the edge there of, and like I said before, almost like husky or you know, I've definitely called it astringent, but not like a sharp bite. Low to medium esters. Yep. All right. Medium to high bitterness. Exactly. Moderately dry finish. I agree. It's definitely. I think there's like a kind of an aftertaste of like black licorice, but without the sweetness, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Moderate earthy herbal or floral hop flavor. Yeah, I would agree with that. Medium low diacetyl optional. Yeah, I would probably call it low diacetyl, and it says it's optional, so it's not a flaw.
Yeah. No, if anything, the level it is isn't. It's not popcorn level. It's just it adds some depth.
Score. I'm thinking. I mean, so far all these Guinness beers have been what 18, 19. I think this is 17 to 19. I think. I was
leaning more towards 17 personally, just because it says without that sharp bite, and I'm getting a little bit maybe too much of that acridness on it.
Yep. And this is the part of the show, folks. I make the disclaimer that we're not reviewing this product as, you know, in the abstract. We're reviewing our individual bottles that we have to go by, you know. So let's move on to mouthfeel. I think it's definitely say full body on there. I don't even think I would say medium full. I think it's straight up full. Although I have had like thicker, stickier beers. It doesn't come across to me as like sticky.
No, it's not syrupy. It's not sticky. It is full bodied, and even with it's got a relatively moderate carbonation on it, and even with that, it just clings to the palate the whole way through.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's actually, there is like a little bit of like a scrubbing sensation, because like a lot of imperial stouts, like especially the Goose Islands and stuff like that, they can be, you know, just slightly carbonated syrup. And this drink's like a, you know, it has like the carbonation of like more like a more like a pub style stout, but also with the body of something much stronger.
And I do get a little bit of alcohol warmth on this too.
Yeah, I agree. Even for 7.5, which is, you know, is light by American standards.
Yeah.
And I noticed that I've been drinking this in sips compared to the first two Guinnesses. I was drinking it, you know, in the glug. Yeah, so I'd say full body, moderately low carbonation. I would not call it creamy, but it is quite smooth, slight warming.
Yeah, it's not creamy, but it's full. It's full on the mouth. Yeah,
I call it soft. It's, you know,
soft. That's a good way to put it. Soft.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's see what the specs say. Mouthfeel: medium full to full body, often with a smooth, sometimes creamy character.
Definitely smooth.
May have a warming but not hot alcohol presence. Moderate to moderately high carbonation. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I would agree moderate.
Yeah,
but yeah, and medium full to full. I don't think it's moderately high. I mean, it's at least moderate as far as CO2. and definitely has a slight warming, not hot.
Yeah,
not-
either this beer's way thicker than we're realizing, and it's just hiding the carbonation, or it's definitely not moderately high.
Yeah. Now that's been sitting in my tongue for a while, I have like this like aftertaste of like it is very similar to like Cracker Jack. That could be it's like the combination of like the diacetyl and like just the roasted malt.
Yep.
It's like Cracker Jack if the popcorn was a little more burnt. Mouthfeel, I think this is at least a 4.
I got nothing to dig in on with this one personally. I think it hits the things. I like the little bit of warming characteristic. I like how soft and smooth it is without necessarily being overly creamy. This is great.
Yeah, all right. So I'm gonna go 5 out of 5 on mouthfeel. Overall, this is at least a 9, if not a 10. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I might ding it on would be that little bit of sharpness on the palate, but otherwise, yeah, 9 or 10 probably 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, if I give it a 9, that's a 44, and I feel like I need to give it one more point. So I probably bumped the aroma up to 11.
Yeah,
would give us a 45. This 45 is kind of the difference between outstanding and excellent, and it's the difference between like a 9 and a 10.
Yeah, this is definitely in the outstanding.
It's like an A versus an A minus.
Yeah, this is a solid A for sure.
All right, well, I'll have to have you back, and maybe we can do some like Belgian sours, and we can compare those to American sours.
Bring it on. Would love to.
Yeah, get some marriage parfait or something like that.
Yes.
All right, so if you've watched all the way in, you're awesome. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next week. All right, cheers.
Cheers.
Somebody brewed it. Chad just reviewed it. Thanks for watching Chad's Beer Reviews. Trust me, the next episode will be a lot better.